Hey, I'm Decathlon Gamer, and welcome back to PCM22 Dragons. This is episode 29, and we are in a prologue scenario with just over 6k. Chu is going to be the first one heading out there, and he is actually pretty decent at the discipline. Very technical, a lot of back and forth here. He is 5th after the first checkpoint. Came out of the box a little soft. I was at an 85 initially as I was trying to do the introduction, and he's gonna cross the line. 2nd place, just 6 seconds down. That's a good start. Puts him in a good position. So as Oscar sets off, this is the ZLM Tour. It's another HC category, so this is a great opportunity for us to score a quality amount of points. Oscar is not going to do it himself, but here's the rundown. 5 stages, prologue right off the bat. So I'm going to go ahead and take 2 episodes here because I'm still, at the time that you're seeing this, I'm still on my vacation. 2 episodes to cover the ZLM Tour. With this being a prologue as quick as it is, I should be able to get the next 2 stages in within this episode, and we'll do the final 2 stages of it on the next episode. And that shouldn't take me terribly long in terms of timing to get that recorded, to get that edited, and to get that posted before I go, which is now just a couple days away. My time is quite limited right now. Lieberman, not the greatest race day condition here, but he is in good enough shape that he should be able to put together a pretty decent time. 22nd, 12 seconds down at the first time check. But able to push on here now for the final kilometer. And attack the line for 20 seconds, 17 seconds down. Really surprised how many really good times there are here. We had an 80, we've had a 78, and our times are competitive, but that's it. Die on a -3, that's not a good draw. That's going to set him back a bit. If he's going to have any chance of contention. It's going to take multiple victories to make that happen. 59 seconds. Wow. Full minute lost. Yikes. Schechter with a +5. There are multiple guys with objectives for this and still have the fitness peaks, as we just finished up the Norway race a couple weeks back. Schechter. Oh, my bad. Schechter. 89, come on, attack. Just 14 seconds down. So Schechter in play, Lieberman in play, and Chu in play. Everybody else might be a little bit too far back after that first stage, but even with an 80, Chu was still 10 seconds down and only 10th place. So there's a lot of guys with really high prologue ratings here, or at least race day condition bonuses, which generally means there's going to be quite a few riders who you assume have this as an objective, and that's going to be worrying going forward. There's that many riders in that good of shape for this race. So the other 4 stages for this race are flat as a pancake. This is all sprints from here on out. So taking a look, we have 3 sprinters. Oscar lost 52 seconds, so even if he won 4 of those, he is still not winning the race overall, but it's a good thing that he is not our primary sprinter. Die, 59 seconds down, same problem. So this is all about Schechter, who is just 14 seconds down overall. 1 stage win, and he is almost there. A stage win and a 2nd place, and he would have the overall race lead. So we've got 20k to go on this one, and we're going to set ourselves up for the sprint to come. Breakaway has not been reeled in, but they are just ahead of us. We're going to wait until about 13k to form up. Bet you there was some sprinters in that. We just lost Oscar. We'll put him on auto. Let's give it a second, see if he gets up. Big split in the field too. You know what? Let's just leave him on auto. We'll keep an eye out on the heart rate, see if he gets moving. 12k. We've lost 1k, but we lost 1 rider, so. $8k to go. Aladwani finally getting out front. We'll let him continue on just a little bit longer here. 7K. We'll bring it down to 6. Now Lieberman's going to take over. Now Ledwani's going to drop behind. Oscar is moving along in a trailing group. A lot of riders lost out on that one. .8. Lieberman, not much of a sprinter. Give me your sprint. On to Chu. On to Dye. And we are out front. Schechter. Dang. Sures. Slowik. We're going to get third on the stage. Schechter. Red bar gone a little too early. But tried to put the other guys under pressure, and that did not work very well. We ended up going a little too early this time. Saw the technical finish and figured that it would kind of hold up your red bar a little bit longer. This occasion, it did not. Other occasions, mostly it does. We do gain 4 seconds for Schechter, though, and he was only 14 down, so now he's only 10 behind. That's a step in the right direction. And a lot of riders losing time today will also take away some of those riders in the top end of the field. Schechter's going to be a lot higher than his 30th place at the end of this one. First time gap given after 57th place. That does really cut down on the field quite a bit. Schechter goes from 30th all the way up to 9th place, still at that 10 seconds behind, as Sem Slot, who was the race leader, hangs on to that front group. But Chu also into the top 10, Lieberman up to 15th. So as we come into the final 70K of stage number 3, I know in theory I could have waited to the last 15, 20K and gone straight for the finish and honestly getting easily through all 5 stages within the episode. But as I mentioned at the start of the episode, my time constraints aren't going to make that an easy thing for me to manage. The one episode, okay, fine, but what do I do for the next episode? And that's going to take a lot longer. If you've played the game with the expanded world database, the national championships, there are tons of them, and they take forever for the game to simulate through those. It takes a very, very long time to get through those. So we're down to 24K here. When this stage is done, I am going to do a little bit of catching you up on some rider progression, at least so we can, fill that time in a little bit more, so the episode's not quite so short. But in terms of race content, this stage will be it for today. Again, I apologize that that's not what it could be, what it would normally be, but this is a byproduct of the vacation that I am on. We still have 3 riders 45 seconds ahead. We're going to set ourselves up for this one, and we've had crashes again today, even in the dry, so it's just a very, very common issue here. 1K to go. That's where the 1K banner is, so you got a right, left, and then the finish comes in on a left-hand bend. So it is a technical run-in on the finish. We're going to keep that in mind as we go forward towards the final intermediate sprint. But those 3 riders have not been caught, so they will not be caught before that. 12K to go. Aladwani. I'm going to have him just yellow bar this thing for a little bit. Some riders pushing to come up. $10K to go. Get Lieberman's gel ready. Adwani is doing just fine. 9K to go. There's a number of riders, though, starting to swallow us up, so we're going to want to get moving here with 8K to go. Remember, it's a technical run-in, so that position out front is going to be really important, and at the moment we're really not finding the gap, so let's get out there. 6K. I think we can afford to gel now. 5K. Now we get ourselves out front. That's good. 4K. Chu on the go. 3.8. We are going to start sprinting early today, as once we kind of get up here, this is going to be it. So we're going to sprint coming out of here. And this is looking like a 1-2. Schechter should be the one taking it. We need the time more for him than we do for Dye, but Dye, once again, technical finish. Schechter couldn't overtake him, and Dye still had that little bit of red bar left himself. Great job on the 1-2 finish. That's fantastic. And another good result for Dye, but Schechter misses out on 4 would-be seconds. And that's okay, because at this point it keeps him, second or third or fourth place and just moves him up a bit. Meanwhile, Dye, he gains 10 seconds himself, but Dye is much further down in the overall standings, and it really wasn't as relevant for him to gain that time. But I'll take that stage win regardless, especially the 1-2. Schechter now into 5th place, 2 down to 10th. Lieberman still 15th, and Dye is 44th at 49 seconds down, so he's really not going to feature in this thing in the end, but he got that stage win ahead of his teammate. And like I said, that's fine because it does give us that little bit longer. We win another stage and we're 6 seconds clear. Are any of these guys sprinters around the front end of the standings? Holgaard's a 73. Slawik's the one we got to watch out for. And Schreuers and Slawik. They were both on the podium on that last stage, and they're very much in the mix. But so far, Schechter has gotten the best of the sprinters in terms of positioning. Even without tremendous success in these World Tour races, we still find ourselves 14th and best of all the continental teams in the World Tour rankings. And in the Super Prestige, we are all the way up in 18th place, punching well above our weight. We are better than some of the World Tour teams, quite a few of them, and better than most of the Continental Pro teams and all of the Continental teams. So for that, things are going quite well. It's 1,529 points already on the season. So in that sense, things are going really well. The victories starting to pile up a little bit. We're up to 6 now. We had a somewhat slow start, not winning those World Tour ones and not having any HC races. But now that we've had a couple back-to-back HC races, we've picked up 3-4 victories in these 2 races already. So that's adding to the total and adding to the points haul relatively quickly. But we're going to take a quick look at the riders and their development so far. New man Al Arwani, you can see, is okay on his flat with a 70. Tons of potential, far from meeting it as of yet, but that's a new rider with us. Alon's only going to give us so much more development, so he's definitely going to be a one and done when his contract expires next year. Alpasov getting close to his maximum, but definitely not there yet. We've got his mountain up to a 79 now. Is he still... Okay, he's training puncher now. Get a little more balance there. And then Dye, not at his maximum yet, but he's definitely drawing in a little bit closer with that 77 sprint. And he just picked up another win, and yet he's still not even maxed out yet. Demosthenes has a lot of upward mobility and has already leveled up once or twice this season, I believe, as he's already into the 70s in a lot of categories and was not there long ago. Gunai, ways to go yet as a puncher, just about there in the mountains, but a balanced 76-75 is a good asset to have, especially with some decent acceleration. That's going to make for a fairly good puncher who can win some races because he can handle some medium climbs. He's not there yet, but you add in 3-4 more points, and with a lead out he could definitely take some wins. Hamad, similar at 76-76, and definitely still has some upward mobility and could be quite the strong rider across the board. And we have 2 Hamads out of Saudi Arabia right now, Fayez and Loai. And Fayez, it's the climbing where he's got a long ways to go yet. His hills is nearly there as a puncher. He's training as a climber. Good. Love to see him pick up another 8-9 points in that department. Islamov, getting closer to taking his shape. This is another new rider, and he's already developing quickly, 73 mountain and hills early in his rookie season. Kang, nearly maxed out, doesn't offer a whole lot more, but he has that puncher with enough climbing ability to join that team. You bring, Kang and Gunai or Hamad together, and all of a sudden you have a collection of guys who have a decent punchy rating, and you get one or two of them with that positive race day condition +3 or better is enough to turn them into the leader for the day and compete for those wins. So it's good to see that we are getting somewhere. We really are. And Lieberman, not done growing yet, but he's getting pretty close to that web, and definitely the most well-rounded guy right now. Definitely the most GC guy. We have 79 mountain, 76 time trial, good stamina, good recovery. Yeah, liking his profile. Locke, similar, not quite the time trialist that Lieberman is, but shaping up nicely and would be a very good support rider to Lieberman for years to come. Brandon No, already maxed out on puncher at 77. He's not going to give us much more than he is now. He used to feature a lot for us in past seasons. This season, he's barely featured for us. I'm not sure we're going to see him much more. His 3 victories are probably going to stay largely the same, and he's about done and will kind of be replaced in time. His contract is expiring this year. There's actually a good chance that we won't re-sign him, as we're finding better than this these days. Oscar, same scenario on Oscar. I think Oscar's got one more year left on his deal. Pretty sure that I'm going to end up letting Oscar go because Oscar, his 5-star rating, I have other 5-star guys now, and he is so single-minded, single element, just that sprint rating and nothing else. The acceleration of 75, a Biradur of 75 is nothing. His next best rating is a 70 flat. So he's terrible. He's absolutely terrible. We see him dropping out of the group all the time. We see him on big negative race day conditions, and he's our highest paid guy. He was really important to keep on the team for a while. He's got 11 victories in his career. It's not like he's done nothing, but I'll happily let him move on to some other team for his twilight years, and we'll be able to spend that money on other guys. It's unfortunate that it's next year when that's going to expire. I'd love to see that expire this year. Chu, pretty balanced as a classics sprint guy. Still a little ways to go in progression wise. Not amazing though. I mean, we're looking at a lot of 75s and a 78 acceleration. Lacking. He is definitely lacking, but he's got something that others on the team just don't have and is hard for us to find. There's not a lot of classics riders coming out of Asia. Ready? 6-star prospect, and he is coming along. He is developing here pretty quickly. He's into year number 2. That crash that he had, broken wrist, he'll be back at the start of July, so a few weeks from now. Not too long that we're going to be sitting without him. For now, 73s, trying to keep him in races as much as I can because he can grow faster that way. Schechter, still not quite maxed out. He's got just a little bit more in him, and he's already a pretty good sprinter. Taraskin, balanced, good all-arounder, and will be an even better all-arounder pretty soon. Taraskin is not quite Lutsenko, but he's definitely in a similar mold to Lutsenko. I think Lutsenko is more like 77, 78, but again, he's not there yet, and he can and will be, and he's definitely drawing closer finally. He was slow to develop early on. Part of that was he was the lowest quality guy with super high potential on a team where I was in financial nightmare. I mean, we were just barely surviving, and we did not have the right trainers. We did not have the right amount of staff, the correct staff. We had a lot of bad relationships. Taraskin was one of those. So his progression was really stunted. So even though he's already 23, he's still got a ways to go on his development. He's still got plenty of time to get there, and now that we've got the staff sorted out, he's picking up his pace on that, and hopefully Taraskin will realize that potential fairly soon and can become that all-around guy like Lutsenko. Luktung is exciting. I mean, he's growing pretty quick. First-year guy, and plenty of potential still, and he's already filling out a bit into the low 70s now, where I don't think he had anything in the 70s. Or maybe he had like a 70 mountain was his best rating when we signed him at the beginning of the year, so he's already leveled up at least once or twice. Yamamoto, well, that's the old man in the group. With the expiring contract next year, decent rider. I might finally be letting him go, though, and let him, spend his twilight years with somebody else, as he's as good as he's ever going to be and starting to get worse already. So a weaker Yamamoto is not going to do us any good. Yamazaki, here's our first total bust in terms of scouting. Big mistake in terms of scouting. Yamazaki was supposed to have a big time window. Now that he's here with the team, it's not happening. So Yamazaki is 100% going to be a one and done, and our first big time error by the scouts. This is not the guy that we scouted. This is something significantly worse. Fortunately, he's on a minimum contract, and we'll be able to part ways with him in 2.5 years. But scouts dropped the ball on that one, and that will happen. That is part of this game. Not bad out of the entire roster to have one bust and have a couple guys that you're like, we can do without them overall. Not many expiring contracts for this year. That's going to be one thing that we're definitely going to be keeping an eye on, is trying to re-sign these guys. That's it. 4 expiring contracts, and they are 4 of the 7 best riders on the roster. So for that part, that's a little worrying. But Brandon, no, probably not going to bother re-signing him. Not necessarily. We want Scheckter, we want Lieberman, and we want Dye back, if at all possible. And we should have a big increase in finances. So hopefully Scheckter is not asking for absurd money. 5.5 stars, he shouldn't be. And once we get somebody who's a 6-star kind of guy, that's where we'll get into a problem. I would expect Scheckter to be looking for about 40K though, and that's a pretty healthy increase. But I would love to be able to pay him that and hang on to that. And with Oscar expiring the next year, that's going to free up some money. Yamamoto also expiring at that time, so that money can turn around and go into contracts for the next year, plus whatever we get in sponsor increase. So at some stage here, finances are going to not be looking like much of an issue for us. That is going to do it for this episode, though. I'm Decathlon Gamer. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Have a good one. Be safe out there, and bye for now.